Buying pedestal fans from Facebook Marketplace, bargain or rubbish? Well, to find out, I've got 4 of my pedestal fans here, which all came from Facebook Marketplace individually. You can see I've got an Emily 97 Super Deluxe fan from the 90s, presumably 1997 given the name. An Air Max ventilator, which looks around the same sort of era. A Blue Ice stroke CED made pedestal fan from also the 90s, and a Carlton 16-inch pedestal from the 90s. Bit of a theme recurring here, I know, but I thought actually this represents the most common era of fans that is often found on Facebook Marketplace and other buy and sell sites. So such as this one obviously is a little bit more on the worn side. You can see there's a mark there. The blades are very brittle, and unfortunately same goes for the rest of the plastic casing around it. It's really gone quite brittle over the years, as you can see around the back here. Although with that aside, it's still a very good, well, powerful fan. As you can see here, it starts up first time, really quite powerful, and the motor spins down very nicely indeed. So the actual components of the fan have lasted very well over the years. It's just obviously cosmetically it's suffered, but for the price I paid for it, which I believe, looking back a few years now, about £4, really can't complain. Do have to put up with the rather catchy blades here, because obviously with the metal cage so close to the blades, even when the blades warp ever so slightly over the years, they will start catching around the outside bit there. So there's something to watch out for on these. But the Air Max pedestal, on the other hand, seems like absolutely new condition. And this one I managed to find for free. So, you know, you really can't go wrong. If you know where to look, you can get pretty lucky actually with these fans. Now this Air Max is a much better example of the blue Super Deluxe pedestal fan that I just showed you guys. Partly because obviously the plastics have aged a lot better, they're not as brittle as the other one, but also because it's got this extra little nightlight feature in it here. It doesn't even appear to have been used over the last few decades. I mean, it's genuinely as new. So a bit of a bargain find there really. I do remember though, the one reason why it was being given away for free was because it's got a European plug, which renders it useless in the UK, arguably. You could have just changed the plug. I just never got round to it because I've got this rather handy little adapter here, so it's never really bothered me. Next up, the Blue Ice fan here. You can see that it has yellowed somewhat over the years, as they all do. Even the slightest exposure to sunlight does seem to give a pretty bad yellowing effect to the plastics here, but you can see overall, again, it's cleaned up very nicely. It was in quite a state when I first got it, but it's all been fully taken apart, cleaned, serviced since then, and reassembled afterwards. So it's gives off a really nice breeze actually, and I've certainly never had any problems with it. It's been something I've used a lot at night times because it's so quiet, as you can probably see, and it just runs so smoothly. You know, it's really one of the most useful fans I think in my whole collection. One thing I will say about these fans though is the weight, really heavy, especially compared to these two here. I mean, the build quality on these two isn't as good. You know, you can see I can pick that up very easily, whereas this one, carrying that, especially around upstairs and things like that, is a two hands really. Even despite the rather handy handle, it's quite difficult. Same could be said for the Carlton pedestal. That again is rather heavy, probably even heavier than the Blue Ice. But this one is ever quieter still. You can see that's full speed there, and I can hardly hear it at all. You know, if you whack that down to setting 1 with the rather nice handy little slider switch there, I can't hear it at all. So again, another very useful fan to have on at night, or just in an environment where noise is going to detract from whatever you're doing. So yeah, that's very nice to have. Carltons obviously go hand in hand with the Micromark fans, so the Micromarks are made broadly off the same parts and principles, although I have got a Micromark 16-inch desk fan. I'll pop the video in the top right hand corner of the screen for you to watch now if you're interested, and it does feel considerably more different to this Carlton fan. It's more powerful for one and louder. So obviously there were some changes over the years with the motors or the power ratings, I would imagine. So yeah, they do have their differences. So what is the conclusion then from these fans? Is it that they are worth, well, a couple of quid really at most, and that's why I've ended up with so many of them? No, I think actually these fans could be worth a lot more. I mean, I've seen these sorts of pedestal fans on eBay for, you know, upwards of 20 quid now. Just goes to show, last year when I got this one, it was, I think it was less than a tenner. So, you know, it's appreciating in value to a certain extent. I'm not going to say that they're all, whoa, you know, museum pieces or anything, but certainly they're much better than the quality of the fans made today. But that is needless to say, really, as they are the most plasticky fans in history. You know, when you go into your supermarket and you see these plasticky pedestal fans being sold for, you know, 30 or 40 quid, and you think, well, it's not even worth that, you know, in parts. You could probably knock up a pedestal fan from bits of motors and plastic yourself, and it would be about similar sort of quality from those. Which becomes really apparent when you're actually assembling them yourself. Anyway, rant over. These are the bargain pedestal fans of the century, in my opinion. So with that in mind, I wouldn't hesitate, if I were you, to go and grab one of these pedestal fans if you're in the market for one and you see one in your local area, or Gumtree, eBay even, or Facebook Marketplace. Get them while you can, because they're going to stand you good stead through time. These fans, aside from a bit of yellowing, have all stood the test of time remarkably well, and I would not hesitate to call them a bargain. Anyway guys, that concludes today's video. If you did enjoy, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe to see more of my videos in the future, and thank you for watching.